Well, it's pretty simple. The season is over.
You are Locked On Irish, your daily podcast on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome in to Locked On Irish. I'm your host, Tyler Wojciak, and this is an instant reaction show after Notre Dame fell to the Northern Illinois Huskies by a final score of 16-14. And like you, I am completely stunned. I'm so mad that I'm at a weird state where I can't even express my frustrations. Honestly, all you have to do is kind of laugh at the situation, or at least that's how I'm coping at this point in time. And this is just basically going to be a stream of consciousness. I don't even have any notes. I might look at some stats, but honestly, the stats don't really matter. Notre Dame was outplayed by Northern Illinois after the first drive of the game. Notre Dame marched right down the field, and they scored in the opening drive of the game. And after that, I felt, okay, maybe this team is not going to have a letdown performance. Maybe they did prepare the right way throughout the week, and maybe they did come ready to play, but that was completely wrong. All week in the lead up to this game, I expected Notre Dame to have a bit of a letdown. I felt like the emotional toll coming off that win against Texas A&M was going to impact how this team would play against Northern Illinois. I was not surprised at all that they started off sluggish in the first half. I was not surprised that the offense was not able to move the ball effectively. But what I was surprised about was how well and really how easily Northern Illinois was able to move the ball on the Notre Dame offense. In the second half, I thought Notre Dame would pull away, and they just flat out did not. They lost the game. The better team in this game won the game. Northern Illinois won. They never made a critical mistake at any point in time where you thought maybe the dam's going to break, maybe they're finally going to screw up, or maybe the talent in Notre Dame is going to take over. It just never happened. It felt like on every third down, Northern Illinois got it when they needed to. Even on that third down there at the very end, I honestly thought Northern Illinois got it. Notre Dame actually caught a break because they should have been charged for a timeout. They didn't. They got the ball back. I'm thinking maybe there's a chance they sneak away with this win, and they didn't. And I think there's several things to take away from this game. You got to look at Riley Leonard. Is he the future of this team? Because he's not the future of this program. He's going to leave after this year, and he played terribly today. There's no excuse. He was able to run the ball at will to start the game. He's the person who scored there on the opening drive. I'm pulling up his final stats right now. Sorry, I don't have them in front of me. Yeah, 20 of 32, 163 yards through the air, 2 interceptions. On the ground, he had 11 carries for 16 yards. That is not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it against any team on this schedule, let alone Northern Illinois. He played terribly in this game, and he's a big reason why Notre Dame lost. It's just the truth. Okay, I defended him. I thought he was the perfect fit for this team because I felt like his elusiveness, his ability to avoid pressure in the pocket was going to make up for the fact that Notre Dame had a developing offensive line. And boy, did they have a developing offensive line. They did not play well in this game. Northern Illinois was able to run the ball much more effectively than Notre Dame because their offensive line got a much better push than Notre Dame's. They have a veteran group. They have a group that's probably nowhere near as talented as what Notre Dame has. It didn't matter. They absolutely moved the ball compared to Notre Dame, but still it goes back to the quarterback on this play, or on this really, in this whole game really. Riley Leonard was terrible. On the final drive, he throws second to last drive for Notre Dame, throws a back-breaking interception. I have no idea why Notre Dame was throwing the ball. I was complaining when they were completing the passes. When they completed 2 to Bo Collins there on the outside, I'm just thinking, why are they throwing the ball? Those 2 were so close to getting picked. Just run the ball. You had finally been having some success running the ball. They didn't do it. Riley Leonard forces the issue downfield. Northern Illinois picks it off. They return it, and they're pretty close to field goal range. They ended up getting it into field goal range. Their kicker makes the kick. Good for him. That's going to be an all-time moment in his life and every player's life on Northern Illinois and the coaching staff. You got to hand it to him. Notre Dame's offense was terrible in this game. The fact that Jeremiah Love only had 11 carries for 79 yards is really just mind-boggling to me. He has that unbelievable run for a touchdown. He hurdles a guy. It's one of the most athletic plays we've seen a Notre Dame player make in God knows how long. And then he got one more touch after that in the fourth quarter. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. If you're struggling in this game and you can't get a push in the line of scrimmage, what do? You give the ball to your best player. Well, Jeremiah Love is one of Notre Dame's best players, and he didn't get the ball. So it's on Riley Leonard. It's also on the coaching staff all the way through. It starts at the top. Marcus Freeman, Al Golden, defensive coordinator. Northern Illinois moved the ball at will on them for a lot of the game. They weren't able to score that many points, but I think Al Golden got outcoached for the majority of this game. Mike Denbrock, what are we hiring you for if you're Notre Dame? What are you paying this guy $2 million for? And I understand, I understand that the quarterback really wasn't making plays downfield, but why are you forcing the issue passing the ball downfield there at the end of the game? I just don't get it. I don't get it. And for Marcus Freeman, welcome to the hot seat. I'm just going to say it. The seat is hot, okay? And for all the people who love and root for Marcus Freeman, I get it, man. I really, really want Marcus Freeman to succeed, but there is a pattern here. There is a legitimate pattern now. This is his third season as the head coach, and every single year there's a couple games where Notre Dame is just flat out not ready to play whatsoever. 2022, his first season as head coach, losses to Marshall, losses to Stanford. Last year, they lay a complete egg against Louisville and Clemson. This year, it's Northern Illinois, coming off one of the biggest wins in recent history for the program. This cannot happen. I expected a letdown. I did not expect just a complete dud of a performance all the way around. So it's on Marcus Freeman, and he's got to get it figured out. I really want to root for him. I think he's a great person. I think he's a tireless worker. I think he's really brought a new energy to the recruiting trail. But that does not matter if you cannot win on Saturdays. And Marcus Freeman has not won enough on Saturdays to have any type of long-term security in this job. He's got to prove it. Right now, I said at the beginning of this, the season's over because this is not a playoff team. It's not. They're going to lose again. If they lose to Northern Illinois in the second game of the season, they've got some tough games still on the schedule. It might not have seemed that tough last week, but now Louisville, that's going to be a tough game. Who's to say that Louisville can't beat Notre Dame? Georgia Tech barely lost to Syracuse, even though they got outplayed for the majority of the game. They could absolutely beat Notre Dame. USC, definitely talented enough to beat Notre Dame. This looks like it could go 8-4. Just the reality of the situation, okay? And I want Marcus Freeman to succeed just as much as the next guy, but the time for excuses has got to go. It's gone. I'm not calling for Marcus Freeman to be fired. I'm not calling for Al Golden or any of the coaches to be fired. But the reality is this is not cutting it. You cannot lose to Northern Illinois at home. You cannot lose to Marshall at home. You cannot lose to Stanford at home, and they've done all three in 3 years. You can't have a complete lackluster performance against Louisville and Clemson last year, and they did both. Trust me, I understand that it's not all in the coach's fault. I think that there's a lot of things to pick apart about this game, offensively and defensively, but it starts at the top. And this is inexcusable. This is an embarrassing loss for Notre Dame to come off such a big win in a primetime moment, to have everything ahead of you this season, and then to just completely blow it all up in week 2. It's embarrassing. And I understand that Notre Dame fans are frustrated. I understand that they're lashing out. They're probably not handling this great. And I think I probably wasn't in the best of spirits during the game, but I think now I'm just sort of numb to it because it's sort of the same result, different year, right? Notre Dame is able to have these moments you're thinking, man, are they finally back? And no, they're not. They don't have the right quarterback right now. I think that's a fact. I think that you have to seriously look at Riley Leonard and figure out if he's the quarterback the rest of the way because he's not going to be around the team next year. And I'm sorry if I'm kind of all over the place right now with my points. Like I said, I'm just kind of giving you my instant reaction in this post game, just a stream of consciousness, every thought that's going through my head. I can't say everything that's going through my head, or else this would be an R-rated show, and I don't think anyone would want to listen to that right now. But it's just an embarrassing loss, and it's something where I'm going to go back and watch this, and I'm going to try to figure out how on earth did this happen, and maybe we won't ever know. I mean, Marcus Freeman said it was a very physical week of practice. He thought the team was ready to go, and clearly they were not. And something I just want to keep stressing is Northern Illinois was the better team on that field today. Absolutely. Look at their total yards, 190 rushing yards, and what we thought was going to be one of the best defenses in college football this year. Their quarterback, man, Ethan Hampton, his stat line isn't going to blow you away. 10 of 19, 198 yards and a touchdown, but it felt like every time he needed to make a big play, he did it. On third down, he would find a receiver, the tight end, Grayson Barnes. Really tough coverage, and they would get to first down. I mean, just every single time it felt like Notre Dame was finally going to pull away from this team. They just would not let up. So you have to give credit to Northern Illinois. You got to give credit to the head coach, Hammock, coached an unbelievable game. He absolutely outcoached Marcus Freeman. So now, to sort of circle back to Marcus Freeman here, a lot of eyes are going to be on him and how this team plays the rest of the year. They could bottom out. They could. They could end up going 8-4, 7-5, and after that, you got to have real conversations about Marcus Freeman. I remember seeing a tweet before this game that Notre Dame made a big mistake not extending Marcus Freeman. Well, probably a good thing they held off on that because this is unacceptable, man. And this is not a playoff team. This team, I'm not even going to entertain the thought of going 11-1 and making the college football playoff or even 10-2 because that did not look like a playoff team out there. And we got to get over that right now. So it's on Marcus Freeman. It's on Mike Denbrock. It's on Al Golden, the rest of this coaching staff to figure out what went wrong and how to prevent that from ever happening again. And rather than looking ahead to the rest of the season and trying to figure out what's still left to play, they just got to focus on Purdue because Hudson Card looked good in their season opener against Indiana State. He shredded them. And sure, Indiana State isn't that good, but I don't think Northern Illinois is that good. So they've got to figure out a way to beat Purdue. If they beat Purdue, then they got to figure out a way to beat Miami of Ohio. And if they beat Miami of Ohio, they got to figure out a way to beat Louisville. If they're able to beat Louisville, maybe I'll entertain the notion that maybe tonight was just a really bad game and they're able to figure things out and maybe there's still some things left to play for this team. But I think that's getting way too far ahead of ourselves. Notre Dame has to really look in the mirror, every single person on this team, on the staff, and figure out how the hell they let this happen. Because this is embarrassing. And all of the jokes that are going to be coming in from opposing fan bases and the national media, suck it up, Notre Dame fans, because we deserve it. Notre Dame did not play well. They got embarrassed, and now they are going to have to deal with the repercussions. And that is just the reality of the situation. And it's not fun to talk about. I'm not necessarily looking forward to doing 5 episodes this week to talk about this game and what lies ahead for this season because this sucks. I'm not even going to lie. There's no way of sugarcoating it. There's no positive spin here. This is just the reality of the situation. Notre Dame in the football program had a great chance this season to really make a step forward, and it felt like they did in that season opener against Texas A&M. And for all the progress and all the momentum that they had, they went a million steps back, and we are right back to where we were a couple years ago, and we have to question the future and the direction of this program. And it starts with Marcus Freeman. It starts with every single player and every single person on this staff because this is absolutely inexcusable. And for this to happen again after 2022 when Notre Dame lost to Marshall and lost to Stanford, it begs the question, where is Notre Dame headed? What is the direction of this program? What faith should the fan base have in this coaching staff to right these wrongs? Because frankly, they have not done enough to give anyone any confidence that they are the right people to figure this out. And look, I want this to be much better than it is. I want Marcus Freeman to figure it out. But man, the excuse making is over. Okay, he is fully on the hot seat. I'm not saying he should be fired, but you got to look at Marcus Freeman and think, is this really the best option? Can you allow for these losses to happen on Saturday to teams that Notre Dame is far more talented than? It can't keep happening. And it's happened a lot over the past 3 years. So what do you do now? I think you just prepare for Purdue. You try to focus everything you can on that game, and you win that game, and then you just got to take it one game at a time because Notre Dame's got a long road to getting back to where they need to be. And even though we thought they were on the right track, right now, they are certainly not. And, that's just the reality of the situation. But that's really all I got for today. Like I said, I'm going to be back here the rest of the week, but I wanted to get something up, and I wanted to, just kind of give my initial reaction to this game. And I wouldn't even say this is a therapy session because usually after a therapy session, you kind of come away from it thinking, okay, this is what I need to do to figure it out. Nope, this is not that. But that's going to do it for me today. Again, tune in to Locked On Irish the rest of the week if you want to, be miserable with company, right? Misery certainly loves company. And I can't believe we're here again. But that's going to do it for me today. Thanks again for listening. Talk to you soon.